What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we are going to focus on the December Community Day and discussing a guide for it. Now, this event is definitely different than past Community Days, whether you're just talking about the time window being more than 3 hours, as well as all of the Pokemon being included. And so this time, I want to try something a little different that I think is actually going to be able to help you, the viewer, out so much more and give you something to take away from this video. What I've done is I have designed an infographic that we will be covering and talking about all of the features of it at the same time discussing a strategy. So before we get into that video, if this video is helpful to you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So one tricky thing that we need to point out before we get into the actual infographic is related to the timing of the event itself. As you will see, as far as the overall event is concerned, it will go from November 30th until December 2nd. So that is a 3-day period. But within that, there will be a special bonus date and time which correlates to a typical community day, which will last a total of 3 hours. So make sure that you check out what region you are in, check out the time, because it is a little bit different than usual. Asia Pacific will actually be December 2nd as opposed to the other ones being December 1st. But the reason why it's so important to point these out is because all of the bonuses will only be available during this 3 hours. And no, we're not talking about just shinies being available. Shinies will be available the entire event, but the actual bonuses themselves will only be active during that 3-hour window. But now that we have covered all of that, let's go ahead and dive into the infographic. So of course, we have already talked about the timing and the XP, so we're going to go ahead and X that out and get into the actual Pokemon. The first one up on the list is Pikachu. So Pikachu will learn the exclusive move Surf, and the way that that will become obtainable is simply catching a Pikachu in the wild, but once you evolve it, it will not maintain Surf. But there is, however, a second way to obtain the move Surf for Pikachu, and that is to get yourself a Pichu and then evolve it. Now, this is really cool, and I think it's something that will be highly rare in the future that you might want to go ahead and consider, and that is evolving a Pichu with a hat and go ahead and get it up to a Pikachu with the exclusive move Surf. So now all of a sudden you have a Pikachu with the exclusive move Surf and a hat on, which will be extremely rare. Up next is Dratini. So Dratini will learn the move Draco Meteor. This is not a desirable move, meaning that there are moves currently available to Dragonite that are actually better than Draco Meteor, specifically being the move Outrage. So in this case, anytime you see non-desirable move, you want to actually opt to go ahead and evolve after the event. Focus on the event, get yourself some candy, get yourself some shiny Dratini, and then evolve afterwards. Up next is Bulbasaur. So Bulbasaur, we have the move Frenzy Plant, which is a desirable move, making it better than what it ever was before, and currently one of the better grass-type Pokemon. And I've actually given it the rank of 3rd as far as the best Pokemon that you want to focus on, as well as a Mega Stone. Now what this means is in the future, Venusaur will obtain a Mega Evolution, so I would go ahead and focus on it just in case it ends up being that much better in battle. Up next is Mareep, which obtains the move Dragon Pulse. This may seem a little bit weird since Ampharos is pure electric type, but its Mega Evolution is not. It actually picks up the dragon typing, so you can get a stab moveset off of this. But once again, I did point it out by just putting on that Mega Stone at the bottom. Up next is Charmander. So for Charmander, you want to use the move Blast Burn. This is a highly desirable move. It doesn't necessarily propel Charmander to the top of the fire typing, but it has so much competition. But keep in mind, don't let that distract you, because in the future, it could end up getting the Mega Evolutions added in, Mega Charizard X, Mega Charizard Y, and it could propel it to, if not the best from the fire typing, at least maybe from a non-legendary standpoint. Larvitar gains the move Smackdown. This is a very desirable move, which is why I ranked it in as the second highest Pokemon that you want to focus on. Something even better is that in the future, you have Tyranitar that will gain a Mega Evolution, so even though currently, for example, it is outperformed by Weavile from the Dark typing, once it gets that Mega Evolution added in, I do think that Tyranitar will solidify itself as one of the better Pokemon, so you do want to go ahead and get yourself that Smackdown to prepare for the future. Up next is Squirtle. We have the move Hydro Cannon, which is desirable. Up next is the idea that these sunglasses will or will not be available. We're not really sure, but one way that they could actually add it in without any type of problem is just to have it as the research so you can still obtain it, much like what happened during the Squirtle Community Day. I think that would be an interesting way to do it and a way to get that included as well as just the shiny variant, as well as a Mega Evolution, so keep that in mind. Mega Blastoise is a monster. Although Blastoise may not perform that well in Pokemon Go, consider that for the future. Up next is Eevee obtaining the move Last Resort. This is not a desirable move, and I would recommend you to go ahead and wait until after the event is over before you decide to evolve. Something extra is that there are future Eeveelutions as well, and the reason why I'm pointing this out is because you want to get as many shiny Eevees as you possibly can so that you can get yourself a shiny Glaceon, a Leafeon, a Sylveon. Basically right off the bat, as soon as they get put into the game, you can already have a shiny, and then you don't even have to worry about the move Last Resort, and you can get yourself a stab move. Chikorita, don't want to spend too much time on it, but it does have the move Frenzy Plant, which does make it better than what it would be otherwise. Up next is Beldam. So Beldam will obtain the move Meteor Mash or Metagross. Extra desirable move that you do want to have. Meteor Mash propels Metagross to the #1 perspective from the Steel typing, as well as just a general DPS machine, so it can easily take down some gyms. If you want to focus on the best Pokemon, focus on Metagross, because even in the future, it will get itself a Mega Evolution, making it a highly dominant Pokemon. Up next is Cyndaquil with the move Blast Burn. This is a desirable move that does make the Typhlosion better. Unfortunately, Typhlosion and Charizard have the exact same stats. The only issue is that Typhlosion has access to the move Ember, while Charizard has access to the move Fire Spin, which outclasses Ember. Hence why Charizard can unfortunately outpace Typhlosion, but even in the future, Charmander will obtain that Mega Stone, so definitely keep that in mind. So yeah, that just about wraps up this video. Hopefully this was helpful to you. I felt like talking about the infographic and covering it that way made so much more sense. Go ahead and get yourself a screenshot of it if you want to have it. I had a couple people suggest that I should give something that we can take a screenshot away from so we can kind of carry this information on the go. So I definitely want to say thank you for that criticism. We will definitely include things like that moving in the future. But let's go ahead and end on a question of the day. What Pokemon are you focusing on the most? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. Hit me like a tidal wave, ooh, triggered by the aftershock. Hit me like a tidal wave. I can't hit these high notes. How does he do this? This is impossible. I give up.